Hi, my name is Justin, aka Ghost Reader, and this is actually going to be part 2 of my POCathon Recommendations video. My first video, when I did it in one piece, was like 20 minutes long, and that was just way too long of a video for consumption. Just way too long for what I felt was way too long. So I'm going to cut it into 2 parts. So this is just going to be me cutting into like maybe halfway through. So it's going to be a bit weird, but I'm just going to be jumping right into my next recommendation. My next 2 comic book recommendations are not as popular as the first 2, but I found them to be good. So the first one is Divinity by Matt Ken and the other associated writers, and I think I have the names here. So Matt Ken, Trevor Harcine, Ryan Wynn, and David Barron. And basically, this comic book is written by the company Valiant. It's put out by the company Valiant, which is an up-and-coming comic book company. And basically, Divinity is about a Russian astronaut who is black. He's a black Russian astronaut who's sent off into space, and he comes back with godlike powers. And he has to try to deal with the new reality that he's in, because it is now like 30, 40, actually I think it's like 60 years later. 40 to 60 years later, he's returned, so everything's changed. And what he's going to do with these godlike powers, and how is planet Earth going to react to him now that he's come back with these godlike powers. I actually found it to be pretty good. It has spawned 2 different, this was a short miniseries, and it spawned 3 other short miniseries as well, and I found the first 2 to be really good, the third one not so much, but Divinity started it, and it was really, really good. The next one is Black by Kwanzaa Osajeo and Osayeto. Pretty sure I butchered his last name, but basically I've read this also, I think in February, and this is volume 1, and because they're coming out with volume 2 soon, hopefully. And basically this covers a world where black people are the only people to get superpowers, and how secret government agencies are seeking to exploit them and their black bodies for the powers that they hold, and eventually try to develop like people like them who aren't black but who have powers. But basically the secret organization, not really government, secret organization is going around capturing black super powered humans, basically to experiment on them. And so basically it's about this young boy who is introduced into this world that he's gunned down and by the police, and his powers are revealed. So this was really, really, really good. Short 6 series, volume 1, very good, and I really liked it. And my last comic book recommendation is going to be the Green Lanterns volume 1, which features 2 people of color as Green Lanterns, Jessica Cruz, who is Latino, and Simon Bass, who is Lebanese. And so basically they're new to the Green Lantern Corps, and they are trying to figure out, basically trying to get a handle on being the Green Lantern, essentially is what it is, and becoming better at being Green Lanterns. And in volume 1, they're facing off against the Red Lantern. So this, I think, is also something pretty cool. If you want to read, this is DC's Rebirth volume 1, so it's a good introduction to these characters in their current state now. My next recommendation is Drowned by Yonat Diaz. I hope I said that correctly. And basically this is a collection of short stories. I haven't read this myself, but I heard it's pretty good. It's a collection of short stories about a family who has moved from the Dominican Republic to New Jersey, and they're going to start a new life here. So actually, hearing the synopsis of this book, I actually do want to read this myself. I won't be reading it for this Readathon, but I think you'll definitely see me read this on my channel at some point, because it has definitely caught my interest. Another read that I think Min Kobayashi is actually reading herself is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And basically this book is about 7 generations of a family living in Colombia. And there's a supernatural element to this story as well. I haven't read this myself, but I've heard that it is pretty well respected novel. So I think that it would be a really great read, and this is also another one that I think will show up at some point on my channel in my normal TBR. Next recommendation is going to be the Binti Trilogy by Nnedi Okorafor. This is absolutely a great series. It is basically a series, 3 novellas, 90 to 100 pages each, about this girl who is Himba. So she's from Africa, and she's going to university out in space. And basically along the way, she has an unexpected experience which has great changes on her. And basically it's about her coming to terms with those changes and then returning home and dealing and seeing how other people see her now that she's changed as a person. So I think this is a great story so far. I've read books 1 and 2, and I'm going to be reading 3 for the POCathon this coming up. My next read I read last month, and it was absolutely amazing, is Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Absolutely amazing story, basically about a woman growing up essentially, and dealing with the added with some added caveats in there, being immigrating from Nigeria and having to deal with a brand new culture. So basically it follows the main character Efemelu and also her boyfriend, but more her. And so she and her boyfriend were lived together in Nigeria. She moves to the United States to basically go to college. She ends up going off to Britain. And her story, she basically comes to America, experiences culture shock, and it's just a great way of her trying to find out where she fits in, as a Nigerian immigrant and also as a black woman. And so she's navigating the race relations basically in America, navigating college, navigating basically living life here in America, and trying to figure out who she is. What do I keep of myself? What do I not? Just an absolutely great novel all around. It definitely deserves the accolades it's gotten. All right, so for some poetry recommendations, I have here. Let me see. Te Locas Mujeres, poems by Gabriela Mistral, which is that title is also translated as The Madwomen, and basically this is a series of short poetry describing, from what I read, describing women encountering impossible situations with really no the same response to get out of that situation. So it's not talking about the women themselves are mad, but they're responding to basically insane situations. And so I myself haven't read this, but it is very well-respected work of poetry. And if you were looking into reading Latino poetry, this is like one of the classics of that genre. Another poetry read that I myself will be reading at some point in the future is Nigh Sky with Exit Wounds by Ocean Vuong. He himself, I believe, is Vietnamese, and basically it's a poems about, let me see here, themes that include poverty, depression, queer sexuality, domestic abuse, and the various forms of violence inflicted on his family during the Vietnam War. So this, especially since I'm reading a book on Vietnam this month as well, was really caught my eye. And also I saw this recommended on Sean Mooney's channel as well. This is actually the second book on this list that Sean Mooney has read and said it was good. So I'll definitely be reading this at some point in the future. And last but not least is Americans in Waiting, the last story of immigration and citizenship in the United States by Hiroshi Motomura. And basically is looking at immigration as it was in the 19th century and how it changed from the 19th century into the 20th century. And basically what happened was that when you first came here in the 19th century, like just coming here was like the first step. You came here as an immigrant. They were like, okay, you're an immigrant, so you have some rights, you can own property and things like that, but you're not a full citizen yet, until you come into the 20th century, where that coming here was not the first step. And then people were like, no, we're gonna put all these rules on you, we're gonna limit some things. It changed. It changed from being like, all right, so you're here as an immigrant, like let's help you come in, to being like, oh no, we need to start restricting how many people come in. And if you came here as an immigrant, you don't have any rights. you have to first become a citizen first for to get some rights. So he basically evaluates the change that happened in immigration here in the United States. So that's it for my recommendations video. I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys all participate in POCathon. Hope you found some good recommendations. If you guys have any recommendations, just like in my first video, you can put them down in the comment section below. I want to once again thank you all for watching, and if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at GhostReads28, and you can also follow me on Goodreads. The link to that is down in the description box below. And as always, guys,